You are listening to the World Series Report with Paul Tipton, Michelle Garmon, and Will Retherford on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome back, baseball fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for today's World Series Report. Late on Monday night, I texted Paul and said, hey, let's do this tomorrow because I'm too tired. And thank goodness I went to bed because it was 3 o'clock in the morning before this one ended. Dodgers win. Paul, your instant thoughts about that game last night?
That was one crazy game. I don't think we'll ever see the statistics for one individual again in any World Series game that Shohei Ohtani had. Reaching base 9 times, never being retired in the whole game. And he's not even the guy that everybody talks about at 3 o'clock in the morning because Freddie Freeman reprises his game-winning home run from last year's World Series. So
I woke up to 120 texts, so I knew it was a great game.
And it was. And I know Paul will agree with me. Both teams had opportunities. I will say this.
Amazing.
For as much grief as both bullpens have gotten, the guys that came in after the starters last night were stellar. When you think of that, Klein, who ended up getting the win, had only pitched 2 innings, the most 2 innings in his career, and he went 4 last night. They were Lauer. Those guys were fantastic. Now, that did help too because there were some hitters that were I thought there were too many free swinging hitters up there sometimes. I thought there were occasions both teams had guys that should have been a little bit more patient, but were not, so which helped the cause.
The last few innings, you figured all the hitters were fatigued and either trying to do too much or not focused, but the pitching, even, just on and on. Nobody scored from the 7th inning till the bottom of the 18th, and it was just all kinds of pitchers. And you did get to see Kershaw come in and face one batter. So
the crowd cheered and sounded very nervous at the same time.
Yes, I thought he might walk the winning run in there. So the Blue Jays had the distinction of putting in 2 pinch runners during the game, and both of them were thrown out for an inning out on the base pass, one at third and one at home. So that was pretty exciting.
But I think the right call sending him with 2 outs, right?
Well, yeah,
oh,
but
yes,
but maybe not. You had Vladdy on deck.
But they probably would have walked him.
Am I right that Ohtani reached base 9 times?
Correct.
Yes. 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 5 walks.
And they only scored 6 runs.
Yeah, that's the amazing part. And Teoscar Hernandez went 4 for 8, and nobody's even talking about that.
And he was one of about 5 different guys that almost ended the game with a shot to the wall. It happened about 5 times.
Correct, yes.
Including Freddie Freeman, his previous at-bat.
That is correct, yes.
We talk about the pitching and the hitting, but there were some really good defensive plays made, some great throws. Tommy Edman had web gym after web gym after web gym last night at second base. You
could make an argument that Tommy Edman was the MVP of that game and not Shohei Ohtani. That's how good he was.
He was excellent, but he did, of course, in a great irony, make a huge error in the 4-run 4th inning for the Blue Jays. It looked like a double play ball, and it was surely 1 out. And so that's ironic too.
But in extra innings, he
yes, he saved the game a couple of times. I would say, as far as scoring in all those innings, the Blue Jays took out Springer, got hurt again, so that bodes ill for them. and they substituted out Alejandro Kirk, Addison Barger, and Bo Bichette. And without them in the lineup for 9 innings, that looked to be pretty punchless there. I don't think they have the depth that the Dodgers do with Miles and some of those others.
We welcome in now Will Retherford, who had to get his 2 cents in. Will, did you stay up for the whole thing?
Well, I ironically fell asleep about the 9th inning and then woke up and saw it was still the 14th inning, and then I did stay up the rest of the game.
Wow.
It was pretty crazy, honestly. I expected nothing less than the Dodgers to somehow find a way to win that game. It just felt like the Blue Jays never had any momentum going. The Dodgers felt like every fly ball they hit was going to the warning track. It was just a matter of time, and it's one of those losses for the Blue Jays I think you're gonna sit back and talk about for probably the next 10 years in terms of how many opportunities you had to win that game and you just couldn't get the job done.
I thought the Dodgers had the advantage of pitching going into tonight because they have Ohtani. But Ohtani, he spent a lot of energy on the base paths and everything else, and so he had to be alert, focused, and everything for the entire 18 innings, and it will be interesting to see how he comes out tonight, to see if he's got some juice missing in his legs, if he can go as deep as he went the last game, because it's a unique thing. You usually don't have even though it's a DH, you usually don't have a position player that is going to be pitching in a big game. So I'm interested to see how he pitches tonight after last night's game.
I don't think it's probably going to have much of an impact, to be honest with you. He got intentionally walked, I think, his last 4 at-bats. He didn't really have to work all that hard.
If they throw him another pitch, they're idiots.
I don't know why you wouldn't. I didn't understand why the Brewers pitched to him. We talked about it in the NLCS. Why anybody would pitch to this guy is baffling to me. Intentionally walk him, because whatever he does on the base pass, at least he's not scoring a run automatically, because it feels like every time he stepped up to that plate in this postseason, it's a home run and it's going a long way. And honestly, I wish they would have probably gone to that decision earlier. Obviously, John Schneider had some hesitation, but when you're 4 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 home runs, that has a significant impact on the game that the Blue Jays really should have won in 9 innings. And they just let that game kind of slip away from them multiple times. Their pitching staff spent, I think Michelle's talking about Shohei. I don't know if either pitching staff is really going to be anywhere near 100% tonight. And I think it's going to be one of those games where it's either going to be 0-0 because they're spent, or it's going to be 13-12 because the pitchers are just throwing meatballs out there.
Hey, something we shouldn't lose either is, because I was sitting there and I was getting back to having shades of like Kurt Schilling and everything. Yamamoto was in the pen. Had that game gone to the 19th inning, he was going to go back out on the mound. He was going to go on the mound for the Dodgers. To ask Mark Pryor, or to tell him he wanted to pitch, that he was good. He could pitch if they needed him. That's just incredible.
So I felt like, as I went to sleep, if the Blue Jays win this game, we've got ourselves a series. If the Dodgers win this game, it's probably likely it. Am I wrong?
I don't see how the Blue Jays can do anything. Yamamoto looms for whatever game they need him in. I think it would have been crazy for him to pitch in that game no matter what last night. But they've definitely got the pitching advantage. I think Will's right. It's probably going to be one of those lifeless evenings for at least part of it tonight. So I'm not sure how the Blue Jays recover from this. It would be quite a story if they were able to win a game in Los Angeles at this point, I think. Ohtani's batting average in the postseason was only .240 going into that game last night. He has been hot in the World Series, but if you walk him every single time, Mookie Betts had a horrible game last night.
Horrible.
But he's not going to have 3 horrible games.
I don't know, man. When they stepped up to the plate and they said, you don't want to put the tying run on base with Ohtani, I'm like, well, if you pitch to him, you're putting the tie run at home. I'd rather have the tying run at first base than scoring.
Yeah, I think that this is tonight, I think, is the Blue Jays' test. If they can come back and get on the Dodgers quickly, if they can get to Ohtani, which he has kind of been susceptible to this playoffs, I would say that the Blue Jays can withstand this. I think if they can realistically win one in LA, you feel okay. If you're 3-2 going back to Toronto, if there's a situation, if they lose tonight, it's obviously game over. I think 3-1 is going to be really difficult, especially with another game in Los Angeles. But I think if the Blue Jays can recover quicker than the Dodgers can, and maybe not have that hangover or lull that the Dodgers may have as far as winning and media and getting back home late, the Blue Jays have a lot less distraction right now. They may be able to get on track early if they can get to Ohtani and get a lead. Try to get to the Dodgers bullpen. I think that there's still an avenue where they get back in this series, but it feels like they're kind of on the brink of their season right now.
Yeah, although I will say this, for Los Angeles, key to winning that is not only taking the 2-1 lead and, a long game like that, but even though they may have been there a little later because of more media obligations, they got to go home and sleep in their own beds, in their own, houses and everything else, where the Blue Jays, they have to go to a hotel. And I know they travel all over the time, but I think if I am dead on my feet like that, I know when I get really tired, I like to be home. You set your own schedule. You have a routine when you're at home, and I just think you can rest better at home.
Final thoughts on the all-time classic?
Well, my final thoughts is what a game. I stayed awake for every bit of it. I couldn't believe it. I'm looking and it's like 3:00 in the morning and it's finally over. And I'm sitting there going, wow. Great game. Terrific game. It is definitely a classic. And those that were unable to stay up, I feel for you. I feel for those that did stay up and are barely making it through work or school today. So
I wish the last 9 innings of that game could have been as exciting as the first 9. It was really fun seeing no runs put up until Freeman's home run. It's an all-time classic. I think we'll look back and you'll say how cool it was to do 18-inning games, especially in the regular season where you just don't get that with the commissioner's runner anymore. You don't get those marathon games that drag on forever, which every baseball fan may dread, but also can admit are kind of fun at the same time. And it's fun staying at the ballpark a little longer, getting extra game in. The Blue Jays have it all out in front of them still. I think at this point, even down 2-1 in LA, how they respond tonight, I think dictates where this series goes.
By the way, Paul, 2 World Series games have ever gone 18 innings, and the Dodgers have won both of them.
On walk-off home runs in a tie game. It ties them with the Yankees for 4 walk-off home runs in the World Series play. There's no way tonight's game could match the excitement. The test is for the Blue Jays, and with their backs up against the wall, we can only hope it would be half as exciting as last night's game. So rest up and stay tuned.
We will be back on Tuesday night with our recap of Game 4 of the World Series. Please join us. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susan.